Hey guys, what's going on? Shaw here, and today we are going to just break down a 20 Upper Karazhan on my Guardian Druid. We did this last night on stream, so if you missed it, or if you want to watch me do these keys live, feel free to check that out. Description will be below. Let's dive right in. So I want to quickly talk about our composition we were running. Obviously, I was on the Guardian Druid. We were also running Shadow Priest, Fury Warrior, Outlaw Rogue, and a Resto Druid. Kind of a unique comp to see, but also not that unique at the same time. Shadow Priest got buffs coming into this season, so they're actually looking pretty good when it comes to AoE, and their single target is still phenomenal. So not the best fix in the world, but it does help them be a little bit more competitive. Outlaw Rogue, as some of you know, is just absolutely cracked, and Fury Warriors can do a good bit of damage and have very good self-sustained. So where this is just a pretty solid comp. So I really want to talk about the routing through here, some of the decisions we made, anywhere we messed up, and just kind of talk about the key in general. So I'm actually going to be choosing Haste Bounty for this run. I feel like Guardian Druids, until you're getting into maybe higher keys, don't need to really play Verse or Mastery. So I'm running Haste just to have like bigger incarns, a little bit better rage gen, stuff like that. So we're going to actually commit to the first pull here. I know a lot of groups actually try to skip as much as they can at the start because it's just somewhat inefficient, but Guardian Druids have this really unique thing where they can hit incarn before the key starts, which means they can get out a lot of damage at the start of a dungeon. So I'm going into this first pull with like a mini incarn, so we're able to kind of actually nuke down this trash pretty quickly. We just want to make sure we're keeping a kick on this Forlorn Spirit, and then making sure that the Infiltrator is healing as minimally as possible. Now, something that they did going into this week, so this is week 2 of the season, it is the Sanguine Grievous, and I just realized that my like weak aura timers aren't really that great in this video. We're actually going to skip this terror at the top. So this is where Zolgamax now resides, which is great because this terror mob was actually kind of annoying for groups that didn't have curse, but we decided to shroud past this, and we're going to pull one of these golems. This dungeon's really weird because the percent in here is so bloated that a lot of mobs are worth like 5 to 7%. So I pull him to the top of the stairs here to make sure that people are able to stand below, and then he doesn't stable energy, and I wasn't paying attention, and I got nuked. For some reason, all this world spawned right underneath me. So we commit the battle res, and we're just going to reset. So there is a spot where you can hold them right at the top of the stairs, and melee DPS can stand below. And what that does is it makes this unstable energy go towards the outside of the room, so people underneath him don't have to move, nor does the tank. But for some reason, there was a weird bug because everyone else was at the top of the stairs with me to start, and that caused some issues. So that's probably our only issue in the key. I don't think we had any of their wipes. So we're going to grab the res here. I'm a little sad about my food buff, but it's not a big deal. And then we're going to go right into this nullifier. The nullifier will silence players occasionally. And if you do, you're going to be silenced for 30 seconds. And you have to go and pick up your little weapon. It's kind of hard to see. I won't be able to see other people's weapons. And I don't think I got silenced in this pull. So I can't really even show you what that looks like. And before this guy dies, we're going to want to make sure that we're not dropping a Sanguine pool in the doorway that we're currently in. So I'm going to end up moving him, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I don't. Who knows? No, we're going to keep him still. Fuck it. Oh, I was actually not even near the door. Okay. So I kill him away from the door, and then we're going to go in. I'm going to have my group stay back because this is what we saved Incarn for. Not all tanks can pull this off. This is also a hard pull to do without Incarn because none of these mobs are able to be forced moved with like Typhoon or Ring of Peace or whatever it might be. So we got to be very careful about how we position. So I'm popping my Incarn 5 seconds before my cast trinket. I'm sitting on my cast trinket for about 2 more seconds, 1 more second. I'm dodging the frontal, and then we're going to be hitting cash. Now, as things start to die, I want to stay near this Kyrian Spear, but I'm going to also then start kiting away as soon as that Kyrian Spear fades, and we're going to keep just a consistent like pattern of movement through this room. So we're going to just make a circle. As you can see, the Sanguine healing actually ends up being pretty low in this pull, only 140k, which for how many mobs we pulled is not bad at all. And now when there's only these 3 mana confluences up, you just need to kind of cleave nice and evenly. They don't do they melee for a good bit, but they're not really that scary for the average tank player. So we're targeting the higher health target here, and we're going to make sure that they die in a... It doesn't really matter where they die at this point. I just want to make sure that I want to minimize the Sanguine healing. Then there is one more pack in there that I could have pulled. It was our first 20 of the night, and I didn't want to risk it. So this is a dungeon that's very, very two-chestable if you just do everything clean. So we're going to then pull this into the corner to make sure Sanguine will disappear before we pull boss. The boss also patrols up and down this room. So I always recommend staying back towards this wall if you're going to pull anything inside of the room. The boss only pats up into this like pillar here. He'll stop right here. So if your DPS are careful with their positioning, it shouldn't be too bad. We pixel kill those all within a second, and then the confluence is dragged out before Sanguine actually gets any healing off. So very clean by our tank here. Little self-confidence, self-love. Not a bad thing to have. And then after this, we're going to go into boss. Now, boss can be pretty scary. Now, for some reason, the unstable energy motes that he spawns scale, I think, with Fortified, if I'm not mistaken. So that means that this boss is just as difficult on Tyrannical weeks than it is on Fortified weeks. So the general strategy for this that our group uses is just stay near melee or have your own little range camp. Now, these volatile energies will jump to whoever they have threat on. So the tank will want to make sure that they're taunting right when they spawn. So you'll always see me tab targeting to them. The name of the game is honestly kill ads. Nothing else matters in this place. As long as you're killing ads quickly, it should be fine. We have a lot of DPS rolling cooldowns at the start of this fight, which is fine, like they're 1 minute. And we're going to hold a little bit of CDs for the burn phase. We are going to commit Lust to the burn phase as well. We end up using drums in this comp. Obviously, we don't have a Lust class. And you can see above their heads here. Let's see if I can pause this video in time. There is a 4 stack. It's a little lightning debuff. The longer they're alive, the more damage that they end up doing. So you just want to make sure you're killing the highest stacked mob. And then this is the first burn phase. So we don't have all of our CDs up. The first burn phase happens about 45 seconds, 50 seconds in. So you can use 1 minute on pull, but you can also hold for this phase. But the name of the game is ad control. And then as soon as this evocation is done and the Curator's back at 100% energy, he's going to go right back into the same rotation. And we're going to just all stay in melee and make sure we are baiting right next to old pools. The hitbox on this guy is actually massive. So melee DPS can stand a good bit away and have an easier time dodging. As you can see, we're kind of just all moving down the hallway together every time one of these like little electrical blasts go off. I don't know what the name of the ability is actually called. You'll also maybe notice that I don't have DBM timers. So I've been pushing keys all this season without DBM timers. I'm just kind of reacting, which is, I think, impressive. I do commit Incarn here with the cash trinket. So I'm going to just start blowing this guy up. And all the ads are under control. So what our DPS are now doing is just focusing on boss, and I'm basically taking care of the ads as the Guardian Druid. Cash just faded, but I still have Incarn for a few seconds. Lost energy goes down, and he runs out of mana. And yeah, then we're just going for our last burn here. We just want to make sure he dies before the next, like, within killing range, which is not too difficult here. Now, some groups have been holding Lust for Medivh, which is still a fine strategy, but on Fortified weeks, if you're not good at controlling ads or if you don't have a lot of consistent damage, I recommend Lusting this guy. So it really depends on your group comp. Medivh is still scary. These still go off even if the boss dies. So our priest stood still for a second and ended up getting clipped. So there goes his seed. We're making jokes that he's now keeping 100% seed uptime, which is actually efficient. It's good to die if you're a Knife A player because you want to make sure your seed's always on cooldown. If it's not your pod tender, you're like wasting it. Why are you even playing Knife A then? Alright, so right here, we are going to skip all the way to Medivh. This dungeon is a very much boss rush. It's Curator, Medivh, Mana Worm, pretty much back to back to back. Now, we do have an accident a little later on where we accidentally pull a rat, but I'll talk about that once we get there. You're able to wait for that patrol to move. You don't need stealth to get around that guy. You just have to wait for him to patrol properly. I'm staying back just in case something goes, you know, a situation becomes a muck. I didn't use those words properly at all. And we're going to just head right to Medivh. Medivh is all about kicking the right thing. I will do a boss guide on these bosses eventually, but the general rule for Medivh is he has 3 major abilities where he'll cast at 100% health. They are RNG based on your run. He can cast them in a different order. Even if you wipe the next time you pull the boss in this place, it'll be the same thing. So what we're doing is you don't ever need to kick piercing missiles. I kicked right off the bat because I honestly thought he was going to open with an Inferno Bolt. Piercing missiles is a tank buster. Most tanks should be able to actually mitigate this damage, especially if you have a class like a Shadow Priest in the group. You don't have as many kicks as in a full melee group, for example. So you kind of have to pick and choose. Now, Inferno Bolt does a good bit of damage, but it actually does more damage. Like, you never want it to be casted on the same target twice. So ideally, you want the priority for kicks is going to be your Frostbite, followed by Inferno Bolt, followed by Piercing Missiles. Flame Wreath goes out when he hits 100 energy. This is what was nerfed going into this week. This used to be 30% more damage, but it's a very, very heavy dot. So during this, you really want to make sure that no one gets Inferno Bolted or Frostbitten. Now, that's generally the rule of thumb with any of his like intermission phases. Is like during Ceaseless Winter, you definitely don't want someone to be Frostbitten, because then they can't move, which means that they're going to get really high stacks and they'll just die. So the Inferno Bolt goes out here because we didn't have a kick for it, but not even... Oh, he actually Shadow Melded that there. That was a really good play from our Shadow Priest. So you can use things like Vanish, Feign Death, obviously Shadow Meld for Knife A players. During this phase, we're just making sure that we're jumping up and down. You can also strafe left and right, whichever's more comfortable for you. For me, it's just so much easier just to hit spacebar and continue my rotation than having to strafe left and right. And then we're just doing this kick rotation. It's me, QB, Hal. Me, QB, Hal, and then Sac P will weave in whenever he needs to, who's our Shadow Priest. Guardian Image is the last one that we haven't seen yet. The mob split into 3 places. We have this green marker down to make sure everyone kills this one first. You want to nuke down 1. And then you can split if you want, but we just kind of cycle around the room. We go counterclockwise or clockwise. Green goes down, then we go to the back of the room. Range can make sure that they're kicking far. I'm multi-dotting here with Moonfire to make sure I'm getting a little extra damage out, and then we are just kind of zug-zugging. We commit the commanding shot, which was good here, because we were taking a good bit of group damage. This is like not a scary phase, but at the same time, it is a very scary phase because your entire group is taking a lot of damage, and it's stacking. It's not by a lot. It's only by, I think it's 2% per stack. This stack here, but it adds up really quickly, especially on tyrannical weeks. That's probably the scarier phase. And then we're just going into the same rotation. Unfortunately, we fucked up our kicks here. I think so Hal kicked the piercing missiles there, so then Frostbite goes off on our rogue. And how you break someone out of this is by standing on top of them with Inferno Bolt. So now we don't kick Inferno Bolt, and it'll break the Frostbite player out, just like that. Fight's over. Nice. Good job, team. All right, and now we're heading right to the Mana Devourer. It's a very boss rushy dungeon. And now for the like 1 minute fall. Last night's stream, I was up so fucking late with you guys. I was up until like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And then I stayed up even later after that because I was doing video editing stuff, and God, I'm so tired. I also haven't had coffee yet, so I need to go make coffee after this video. So this fall, you can't really do anything about it. You can't fall quicker. I don't recommend levitating yourself. You'll fall even slower. And then this is an interesting area because you want to try to avoid everything in here. You can. I was checking out this picture of my grandpa that they have in here. We ideally want to skip through the road or through the rats. There is a way that they patrol and then they'll stop for a second, and you can read that pattern to move through, but our group is too stupid for that. So we're going around to the left, and then I end up actually pulling this rat. Actually, I don't, but someone else does walk into it, and we pull it. An infiltrator, not a bad thing. Like, we end up shifting our percent around later in the dungeon. But bounty's fine. The problem comes in when someone accidentally pulls one of the little rats. The actual rat that's not an Atherzim. So what I should have done is I should have just kept this infiltrator here, but I tried to keep moving with him, and that's what actually ended up screwing us over. Because when you're near these books, there is a rat that comes through. You can walk through these books. These books aren't actually an obstacle. You can walk right through them. And you'll see me doing that here. And then I think someone moves out too far and pulls a rat. I think it's our Resto Druid. Yeah, so right here. He walked out a little too far. You want to hug the wall if you're doing this. So the rat gets pulled. Rats do a ton of damage to your tank. So if you pull these, don't. You're better off wiping. So here's the rat peed, which is fucking hysterical, by the way. Best ability ever made. And yeah, these rats just it's just a tank buster mob, man. They just fucking slap your tank. You'll start noticing in a second my health's going to start dipping real quick, like over and over and over again. I'm going to Door of Shadows through the rat wall like a fucking G, which wasn't needed, by the way. Yeah, don't pull these. I don't really have anything else to say. It's not worth. You can make up so many different, so much different percent on just better mobs. All right, and then for the Mana Devourer. Now, I hate this boss. I honestly still don't know how the boss works. I'll be honest. I think I do, but I feel like every time I'm in here, it works differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this boss. I'm going to commit Incarn and cash to this, the start of the fight. We're going to pull him into this very corner, and the reason for this is because during the fight, he's going to spawn orbs that will go out to the outside of the room. Not outside of the room, but they'll spawn away from him, and then they'll be sucked towards. The DPS players, actually your entire group, wants to soak those, and then soak in these pools that you see here to drop stacks. Now, if you hold him in this corner, the orbs spawn underneath him instead of around him, and if you're right underneath this hitbox, you can actually instant soak them. But I think this first soak, I fucked up. You can see him gaining energy. So he's going up 30, 35, 40, like really quickly. And for some reason, I wasn't able to soak sitting underneath him, so I don't know what was happening. So I decided to move him away from the wall a little bit. Because if he hits 100, mana before he expels, you're gonna group wipe. You're just fucking, your group's done. So let's see if I can do it here, because I think the second time I do it right. So he's gonna start spawning these. I'm gonna stand right underneath him, and you'll see my stacks now going up pretty quickly. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is great. Now I want to try to drop these as fast as possible. I am dealing more damage, but I'm also gonna be taking way more damage too. So I'm moving in this pool to drop my stacks. You'll see it tick down slowly. 6, 7, or 5, 4. I can't count down for some reason. 3, 2, 1. And then holding him against the wall is fine because, again, same thing will happen. You can stand underneath him, but then it's going to go around like a fan shape. You just don't want him to hit 100 energy. So I think if he ends up soaking a full set of balls, that he wins. So here we do another good job soaking. Our rogue, I think, commits a cloak to soak this, which is good. I have 3 stacks, so I'm going to try to drop them here again. I could try moving him back into position, but I end up just, I think, holding him here because I'm just kind of getting frustrated, and I don't want to wipe to this boss. It's only a fortified week, but still, it would suck to wipe here. Because we do end up 2-chesting this key, by the way. It's not like a close timer. We absolutely demolish it, but orbs are going to now spawn kind of all around him, as you can see. So our DPS are going to spread out. We're going to soak these. I'm going to soak these 2 here. And try to drop some stacks when I can. And that's pretty much the fight. It's just like, it's basically you're playing goalkeeper. And it's like not a bad fight, it's just like kind of confusing. And it doesn't help with Grievous. Grievous is a fucking bitch. Grievous being an Affixes this week is so dumb. So dumb. Alright. So I still have 30 seconds on Incarn. So I'm not in the greatest mood at this point in the key. No, I was actually in a great mood. So we're going to only commit a couple to 2 worm packs, because these guys can get pretty scary if you don't zug them down quick enough. But as soon as my Incarn comes up, I'm going to start chain pulling and getting extra damage in. These little dudes don't do much. They do similar to the bosses. They spawn these little orbs, and you just like, when they hit them, they do a little bit of damage to your... I don't know what to talk about here. Incarn just came up, so I have it rolling. I'm waiting for my cash trinket. I'm going to hit my cash at 25 seconds on Incarn left, so I have optimal crit. And then we're going to start chaining with this slowly but surely, so Sanguine pools can drop behind us. And we're going to chain into the next pool, which has an infiltrator in it. And then we have 1 more pack of Devourers that we're going to want to pull on the left-hand side. And this should be our percent for the rest of the dungeon. Well, we're going to have a few more pulls, but for this room in particular... So Incarn, you could see at the damage meters, is definitely carrying right now. I'm doing 55k over the course of this fight. So not too bad. Infiltrator goes down, and then we just have these worms to deal with. Sanguine get a little annoying in this room, but these worms don't have any spell queuing. They'll move with the tank, so the tank just needs to make sure that you start moving when things are about to die. Obviously, Sanguine weeks only. You don't have to do this if you're not playing on Sanguine weeks. Pretty good. I'm trying to like think of anything that's like once you get past Medivh, the dungeon's super simple. I love these hallways too, man. I want to get like super tripped out on like some kind of hallucinogen and come and run this place, dude. This place is so trippy. All right, we'll come down here. We're gonna grab the Slayers. One of them is an Atherism, and we're gonna actually go back to this hallway because fighting them out here is a trap. You can get knocked off into oblivion and die. So pulling back into this hallway is going to prevent that from happening. Now, of course, your DPS need to be careful when this first hammer comes out. The Slayer is going to do Mighty Swing at the tank. Priest, 100% up seed uptime. Really milking that pod tender trait. I'm going to pull him back to where there's more a flatter ground. Because if you keep them right in this little alcove, you have like 2 yards to either side. It's really, really tight. But if you pull him back up this hill a little bit, the way that the wall like kind of curves, you have just a wider room to work around. You have better camera angles, just the whole kit. I don't know what I'm saying, I'll be honest. So we're focusing the Slayer. Infiltrator he'll die when he dies. And then we're going to end up actually skipping the next pull. Because if you look at our percent, we're going to be at the last, so the chest room is worth 10%. So we're going to be at 92, which is crazy, by the way. And then this fucking idiot gets slept. All of us get slept in here because of that bad Nathrezim pool, but that's all right. So chest room is worth 10%. We fat-fingered Shroud on accident, so we're gonna have to use our invis pots to get through, but that's not a big deal. I mean, as a druid, druids and rogues can stealth by, so only our Shadow Priest and our warrior are gonna have to sneak by this Pyromancer. Pyromancer, pull him up to the top of this platform here. He's kind of annoying to deal with on these stairs, but don't bring him inside the room, because once you're inside this room, you're silenced. So keep him right on this ledge here. Much easier to deal with. The way that this fight works is that every time you kill one of these knights or bishops or whatever, the tank or the king becomes vulnerable. So you want to prioritize one knight, then you burn, then you do the other knight, then you burn again, and then you do bishops. So we're burning this first knight. I have Incarn rolling, so I'm cleaving everything that's in range, which is, yes, it's padding, but it's also efficient damage because I'm not going to be doing a single target rotation because during the incarnation window, Thrash is just so much more efficient to use, so it's going to be hitting everything. Also, cash. Fucking massive. So I'm already getting damage on this knight. I know it's healing a little bit, but the knight is, or the king is now taking a ton of damage from just like our single target. But you can look at the meters and you could see like I was just pretty hardcore padding. And then he becomes immune after the 20-second window, so then we're going to swap back to this knight and kill him. These mobs seem like they were moving around a lot, which is really weird. But that's alright. Alright. So the way that these light up, it doesn't mean, so it's a couple seconds later than that you'll actually take damage. You can still stand on the square if you need to for a second. So now we're going to kill the king, and yeah, kill the king. Whenever a mob dies, the other mobs do get healed for a bit, so you just want to be careful of that. That's why you don't want to pad too much, but the first night was a lot lower because I was using Incarnation there. I feel like now at this point I'm just trying to explain myself. So we're just trying to figure out which mob we want to kill. We're going to kill the bishop next because it's lower, and it's just as a smaller health pool. I think it has a smaller health pool. It might have the same, but we're also going to be able to get the funnel because the other bishop is right next to it. And then after this, our goal ideally will be kill the king before he goes immune again. But it being at 30%, we should be good. Just kind of a fucking slog, dude. Look at this. The bishops heal every once in a while too, so it's like just kind of obnoxious. Now going to the last boss. The last boss is kind of a joke, except for the very last phase where there's a mechanic. I don't remember what it's called. It's but it cleaves melee DPS, or it cleaves on like around you, so you don't want to stack. So you want to try to bring the boss out on the last ship a little bit from the wall so people can spread out around him. All right, we're going for our last burn here. If we happen to like phase again, we'd probably go rook or bishop again, and then we'll just end up burning. So queen's going actually right close, which is scary. Not actually, but, and we kill him with 2 seconds left. And this is the time, because of how much RP there is, because you have, this bridge has to form, which is awesome animation, by the way. Is it Medivh? Medivh has to run all the way up there and then do a little bit of RP to open the door. So this is a great time to grab food buffs. It's a great time to check all your consumables and stuff. Use your toy box. Mess around with some toys while you're waiting. We're going to be going to the last boss with about 4 minutes, which is super easy. We'll last platform. It'll be good. Nothing will go wrong. Spoilers, something goes wrong. We don't wipe or anything, but we have 2 deaths because of like a weird visual bug. But yeah, waiting for this door is annoying. You can't speed up Medivh either. There are some instances where you can actually use Tiger's Lust or Stampeding Roar on NPCs and they'll run faster. Now with Medivh, he will run at the same pace. So there he is. He's coming up. He'll unlock the door for us and we'll head in. First boss platform, Basically, dodge, disintegrate, kick. You need 2 melee kicks. And then run like the beam out. You can just run it out to the side. Also, orbs, ideally, if you have the debuff on you, you're going to run out of group. So when it gets dispelled, people have time to react. So this the fell beam is what needs to be ran out. Naturally, we're going to miss the kick there. Disintegrate's going to face the rogue, which is fine. You just want to be paying attention to it. So I'm going to be getting next kick then on the burning blast. And then we're just going to have another melee kick to kick the next one. So there, I called for our rogue to kick it, but he was obviously busy with the beam. And our warrior was mid-bladestorm, and our shadow priest is an idiot. So we just kind of had this perfect storm of events. Demonic portal will open at, I think, 70%, but we got a really good burn there because I didn't incarnate up and our shadow priest was pumping. We go to the next place, next bridge. You want to try to move through immediately because the faster you get there, the quicker you can get through before this first disintegrate goes off. Our rogue is going to quickly leap down, as you can kind of see there maybe with my sporadic camera. I'm going to dodge to the right because it looks like he's facing left. Our warrior gets clipped by it. I'm going to door shadows in, but because of our rogue getting there and he MD'd me, he started running at me, which is not great. You want to kind of keep him down here away from this electricity. Dodge, disintegrate, and you want to burn him. I think he goes at 30 then. I put down this X world marker because that's where Dispel should go. If you stack the Dispel, the orbs aren't supposed to hit you right away, but I guess our Druid was saying that he was getting hit by all like 8 of his balls immediately. You'll see him die in a second when he goes to Dispel himself. So ideally, you'll have someone stand nearby, like by X, get Dispelled, then you'll have someone stand either away or on X as well. You can also go for the MD, but right here, he just immediately got vaporized right when the Dispel went off. So we have 2 battle res available, so we're going to go battle res, then we'll go across. Not a big deal, but you want to make sure you're not getting hit. He might have ran forward. You don't want to run. Once you get Dispelled, you want to stand still for a second. So you can watch the orbs go out, and then you can, weave in between. Last platform, pretty easy. You need to get there before Stabilized Rift. You can kill these ads by themselves way back here, but it's stupid to do that. You want to get Efficient Cleave. These mobs do a bit of damage to the tank, especially when they start applying their debuff, but we're just going to roll some of our equivalents. We have double stack of Survival Instincts. We have Giga Iron Furs here. We had Barkskin available. So we accidentally fat-fingered kick early. You could hold it till the end of the cast to get extra damage to also minimize group damage in this last phase. Burning Blast goes out. I'm going to kick it there. Disintegrate's going out at our priest. He's dodging. And there's like this cleave on our melee that's going on. It's like, you'll see these purple shots being shot out. And that's what's killing people. We actually end up dying here. Like, we have like almost a full group by when this last boss at 3%. We kill the boss and I think some of us die. So I died a Burning Blast and yeah. Clean as fuck, boy. Clean as fuck. So that was the run. 2-chested. 26 points, not bad. This is a very, very easy key. If you just kill you can even pull so much slower than we did. Like, we skipped some mobs. We obviously, like, the first boss room, we pulled all 4 packs. Now, obviously, if you did all those packs individually, yeah, you'd probably be a little bit closer to maybe with, like, 3 minutes left on this key. But because of the ability of the Guardian Druid to, like, mass pull around Incarnation, it was pretty good. So not too bad. Let me know if you have any questions down below. It wasn't a perfect run. I'm also bad at the game, so there's that too. Hopefully you guys learned something. I will be doing guides hopefully soon, whenever I get the time to. And you can always check me out on stream if you're curious to watch me do this live. So, super fun. Thanks for watching. Catch you all on the next one. Peace.